I just received Brazil.
Sam's jaw is wide to the sides, I guess. I don't think you have any
I'm good.
breathing problems.
I'm good.
Yeah. So there's that, and then you have the treatment, which is the gold standard right now in the industry, is a CPAP or a BiPAP, which is continuous positive airway pressure. The CPAP pumps air in, a BiPAP pumps air and takes out air. So CPAPs help provide the gap of air that you're missing during sleep. So when you're sleeping, you're not choking. You're getting all that oxygen that you need. You're breathing properly. You wake up, I'm not fatigued, I'm not tired. It helps you go into those deep stages of sleep without gasping for air. BiPAP is for severe cases as well as people that have a problem getting oxygen to the brain. They would need assistance in taking out the air from their body as well. So it's called BiPAP, bi-level, goes in and out. Those are the two standards. Right now we have a new device that has been out called Excite OSA. 2022 it came out, and it's revolutionary in regards of you no longer need to wear a mask.
It won the award, didn't it? The
Yeah.
Good Design Award
Yes.
in 2020. What was the what did it win the award for?
For as in regards of it being cutting edge, revolutionary in its field, it basically eliminated what you guys said about wearing a mask during sleep.
There we go.
Yes.
Oh, amazing.
So it's a daytime therapy.
Please tell me you have it here.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. We're getting one of those as soon as possible.
Yeah.
You say it's daytime.
It's a daytime. So what it does is it's electromuscle stimulant. It stimulates the muscles of the tongue and the jaw and the airway. So it tones it up. Like you see with a lot of devices that do toning to the muscles. This does the same thing and it widens the airway. There's also a surgery called Insight in the United States. They do it. They implant these into the airway and to the jaw of the patient. This is more of use it 20 minutes a day, and after 6 weeks, your muscles get toned, your tongue gets toned, your jaw gets
Oh,
toned.
so you just use it 20 minutes a day?
Yes.
Anytime you like? I
It's
mean,
right, 20
within-
yeah.
Before the sun sets?
Just daytime. You have to use it
Daytime,
during
okay.
daytime. Like you're sitting in the office, you can have it on you and do your work for 20 minutes, time it, done. That's for the day. But the results are not immediate. The results take time because you're toning your muscle over a period of time.
They need
It's
to
like
develop.
working it out.
Yeah.
And then after a while, your muscles, your tongue, your jaw. I'm sure there's even different types now that fixes the jawline, that makes a wider jawline, and this that tones the jawline. This is more of toning the airway passage. So when you sleep, you no longer need a CPAP or a BiPAP. You might just, your airways are wide enough to take in the air that you're struggling with.
Sounds a lot better than an implant as well.
Yeah, the implant is very successful in the United States due to the insurance coverage of it. It's a huge surgery. It's like implanting a device into your body and then having a button like the insulin monitor, and you activate it during your sleep, and it widens up the airways using AI technology and monitors it and widens it, like provides muscle stimulants.
Where do you implant it?
In the jaw and in the back of the throat.
That sounds brutal.
Yeah. It takes, after 6 weeks, I think they activate the device. And it's a very lengthy procedure. Very limited doctors currently do it here in the region. Not a lot, actually. In the United States, more. But the Excite OSA as a device is a more non-invasive in regards of it.
On that, so obviously it's used for treatment of OSA. Can it be used, so let's take fighters for example. They may not have sleep apnea now, but we discussed before that they've got wider necks due to all the training they do, and a lot on, I mean in your case, deviated septum, right? And multiple broken noses. So some fighters might not have a deviated septum, but they've probably had their nose broken, which affects their nose breathing. So if they haven't got OSA yet, can they use this as a preventative measure in order to train it so it never happens, or or is it just treatment? What's the
best advice I can tell you is do not go and provide treatment by yourself. It's best to go to a sleep specialist or a sleep coach that can provide you with this insight, identify if you need the treatment or not, and what type of treatment you need. It might be practical for certain individuals, but it not be for the others.
right?
And a lot of people take the initiative of doing it themselves. I'm going to try and fix my sleep. I see this device useful. If you need a CPAP, for example, and then you want to try the OSA, again, also advise to go to the doctor and the specialist to sit down and tell you if you could use that or not. Because you might not need it. You might need a mandibular. Maybe your conditions are not a sleep disorder, but a sleep habit. Maybe your conditions are stress related and not sleep related, even though they correlate, but the stress plays into the sleep. So maybe it's because you're overthinking during fight week and you can't go to sleep. You might say, I need to use the OSA to breathe better. No. There's ways where we do is monitor the patient or monitor the athlete. This is what sleep coaches do. We monitor them not during like a short period of time, but over a long period of time. Some treatment might be practical this year for the patient or the athlete. Next year is not.
How do you monitor them?
There are small devices called the Sleep On by Sehatu. It's a finger size, the size of your pinky finger, like.
I think KHK athlete Mohamed Makayev.
Yes.
Oh yes, he did. Yeah.
He was using it for his fight in Abu Dhabi at the
Yeah,
UFC
yeah.
event.
Yeah.
He used it. We identified that he had a drop of oxygen level during his last week of preparation, during fight week, basically.
Is that due to weight cutting, do you think?
Probably yes. A lot of he's weight cutting and he was getting tired. And I remember he got dryness of his throat. We recommended switching from sauna to steam. And we gave him an oxygen concentrator to provide the gap in oxygen.
Wow.
That gave him a little bit of more refreshed. So it's kind of like your body's recovering with 80% oxygen. We boosted it up over 98, 95%. So his body's getting all the oxygen it needs during sleep. Because you go through different stages when you're
Sorry, what was the device for the oxygen?
It's an oxygen concentrator. It's basically a device that pumps in oxygen to the body. So when his oxygen level dropped below 90, we provided him with this. This gave him his muscle recovery got boosted. His brain activity, his brain got recovered more better, and he got less fatigued.
See, that's amazing because you would, particularly for fighters, you would just put like fatigue down to weight cutting during fight week and the stress of fight week. But just by wearing a simple device, you are able to recognize small changes that could be made. You're not talking about 0.5% increments now in performance, are you? You're talking exponentially. 98% oxygen compared to 80 during fight week. Wow, just from wearing a small device.
We identified it from him wearing a small device, and it was treated using an oxygen concentrator. And we gave him a portable oxygen concentrator, so he used it on the plane.
Amazing.
On the back of before his fight, wherever he wanted to use it, it was portable, no need for a power source. That's the beauty about sleep coaches and proper sleep programs for athletes, is that you take care of them not just for one time, but over a long period of time, where you can see them improve. You can monitor their sleep cycle, their program, their training, their diet. He might not lose weight. Some athletes have issue cutting weight. And a lot of them, even what we've identified is that during cut week, especially last week of cut, they do not sleep a lot.
Is that due to dehydration?
Yes.
Because how much of an effect does dehydration have on sleep? Because I mean, there's two spectrums, right? If you're overhydrated, you're going to go to the toilet, which affects your sleep. If you're too dehydrated, how does that affect your sleep?
Dehydration affects your body, but sleep, the best thing I can say about dehydration and sleep, or hydration and dehydration with sleep, is that when you're asleep, your body doesn't think about getting hydrated or dehydrated. It's just thinking about, I need to recover right now. I'm not thirsty. I'm not I don't need to go to that's why we say if someone goes to the toilet during nighttime more than once, maybe once is acceptable, but more than that is an indicator that you need to reduce consumption of water before sleep. For example, during cut week, if the athlete is just sitting like this and waiting, he's going to get thirsty, he's going to start thinking, he's going to start stressing. The simplest form is just go to sleep. You're not going to think about any of this. You'll be asleep.
How can you help that if you're struggling to sleep?
That's where stress management, breathing techniques, habits that build your body into going to sleep. So, for example, if you go to bed every time and straight away go to sleep, if your head touches the pillow any time of the day, you're going to go to sleep because your body is used to feeling that habit. You build it. It's like when they put a plate of food in front of you, you're naturally going to eat it. Because you build a habit when food is presented, you're going to start eating. Same thing with sleep. If you present it in a way or a habit where I build that I'm going to go to sleep by shutting off the lights, turning on the AC, no phone, no light source whatsoever, wrapped up in a blanket. My pillow is my favorite pillow that I go to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep every time I do that, naturally, without an effort. Even if I'm dehydrated, I'm fatigued, I'm weight cutting, and it helps them with the weight cut. You're still losing your weight a little bit during sleep, but you're not getting thirsty. You're not getting hungry. You're not playing that mental game that weight cut does to a lot of athletes. The stress that is involved with it. You see them when they cut after the weigh-ins, they start drinking and they open up a feast because they've been thinking about it the whole time. They even plan what they're going to eat after their weight cut by specifically a burger or a pizza or...
No, it's just crazy. I mean, a lot of people don't... how many times have you been in training and I've been in training sessions, and how many times have you actually sat and spoke about sleep? That's one of the craziest things, that we don't really speak about sleep. One of the things is also that I find that a lot of people in normal life, daily life, we find it's something of a pride to say that I hardly sleep. I'm working 24/7. And somehow this prideful thing that you use, and you don't want to say that I sleep. When it's time, I sleep. I'm not going to stay awake. So even in your corporate world or the training world, the hard work is related to less sleep somehow, And you don't really realize that you can't work hard if you don't sleep well. And these kind of misconceptions. And I think that's a lot to do with not having the right coaches. And they're absolutely right when you said that everything starts with going to a sleep coach. And for me, I always think that when you have an injury, you feel the pain and you cannot do something that you have to do. And that's when you feel like, I need to get this treated. And that's one of the challenges with sleep as well, that we don't really think about it because we don't feel pain. And we don't realize that everything in my daily life, why do I feel grumpy? Why do I feel tired? Why do I get a heart attack? All of those things, everything could be related to sleep and is related to sleep and having a healthy sleep. But we treat that individually, and we don't think of that as the foundation that you mentioned. And that makes a lot of sense when you use that as a foundation, that every single human being has to go today and meet a sleep coach, I think, because that's where the foundation, that's where everything starts with. And we don't do it, and we never thought of it because we don't wake up and say, I got a headache, go get a Panadol, or why do I have I got a tennis elbow, you got to go and treat that.
Tell you man it up and deal with it.
There's no reason for you to feel something, for you to say that's for the sleep coach or that's for the sleep lab. You know what I mean? There's no specific thing for you to feel. So, how do we say? For me, I would just say that everybody mandatory go see a sleep coach. I think that's the only way, because you don't wait till something happens. And even if something happens, you can't, it's not time for you to go back to the sleep therapy, because now you have to treat that particular injuries as well. So I think it's key that the foundation is, if you want a healthy life, if you want to start living a life where it's not about not having diseases or injuries and any of those, but to have the highest productivity, I think the first thing you should be actually going and visiting is, beyond everything else, is a sleep coach. Is that right in saying that?
You could say so, yes. Sleep is important, like you've highlighted 100%. Seeing a sleep doctor or a sleep coach for athletes is very important. And listen, sleep has been ever growing, and it's going to continue growing. Back in the 80s, 80s, 70s, it was not renowned as it is now. It was very segmented. Now everyone deals with it. Technology has developed to the point where there are monitoring, which made sleep coaches accessible. Back then, it was a very niche, and only selected few could be able to do these type of programs because of the cost incurred and the monitoring and time consumed to do it. But now with smart wearable devices, smart technology, we can find that sleep is easier treated, easier diagnosed, easier identified than it was back then. It's more, you're more likely to identify now sleep problems and treat them than you were back then. And of course, thanks to His Highness Sheikh Khalid for his support in the athlete world and the sports, we can always say that he has taken athletes that were non-professional to the professional level. He has elevated the nutrition, the training programs, the facility-wise. Lastly, now we're working on the sleep as well, which is an important foundation that is neglected all over. If you look at the top athletes around the world, they all have a sleep coach or a sleep program. Cristiano Ronaldo, Steph Curry, to name a few. These are very known. LeBron James.
Who are they?
They all work on sleep.
Yeah.
I just read recently an article about Arada Turan from Barcelona. He used to be a very well-known player in Atletico Madrid and Barcelona.
Yep.
They asked him, what was the only thing you regret doing back at your performance after he retired? He's like, I needed to focus more on my sleep.
It's the one thing everybody can do as well, right?
Yes.
It's the one, like, everyone talks about the latest supplements. It's the latest training technique. The one thing everybody can do, and it's free, is to sleep.
Correct. It's the natural form of recovery. You can take supplements, you can take creatine, you can take aminos, you can take whatever it is to recover your body. The natural way is to sleep. And again, your sleep is not just you going to sleep and waking up. You go through cycles. 90-minute cycle, which is stage one. First of all, you stay awake. It's how you go to sleep, first of all. It's the wake phase, they call it. You stay awake and your body starts getting drowsy and you need to go to sleep. That's the first step of sleep. Fixing that, going to stage 1, 2, and 3, which are considered the light to deep sleep. This is where your eyes move fast, your heart rates drop, your body temperatures drop. So you need to make sure your body is functioning at that level because that's when your body's recovering. It's fixing its muscles. It's fixing the injuries that you caused during the day, the stress that was caused during the day. And then you enter the REM and non-REM sleep phases or the deep sleep or dream phase, which is a very short period, but you dream in it and it can cause night terrors. And lastly, the very deep sleep is when your brain starts recovering, your cognitive. So if you're not getting recovery in either of those cycles or these phases, then you're likely to suffer something during the daytime. If you're not having enough of the light to deep sleep, or non-REM sleep they call it, your bodies might be fatigued, you might be more injury prone, your immunity drops. If you don't have enough of the dream or deep sleep, you might not be able to, you'll wake up with a mood, your cognitive reaction will be low. They always say, if you wake a person up during his REM stage of sleep, which is the very deep sleep is when you're dreaming of this, he'd wake up drowsy. And it would take him 30 to 1 hour to recover from that after waking up. So let's say, for example, you're sleeping for 90 minutes and you wake up at 60 minutes during your deep sleep and you start training. There's a big likelihood that you'd get injured due to your coordination and cognitive not at its 100%. So, and athletes, a lot of athletes we know get injured during training as well. Let's say that for a fact.
Absolutely.
The reason is sometimes they misstep. Maybe it could be unintentional, maybe it might be by mistake, maybe he had a bad footing, but the impact and the stress that he's doing during that training, if he was not 100% cognitive focus, he's likely to bend his leg, punch incorrectly, or not have the correct form. But if he's at 100 focus, his muscles, his body reacts to his brain in a very optimum level, which prevents injuries again. So he's more likely to train for a longer period of time than a short period of time as well, which gives them better result over the long period. Khabib, for example, is a very wonderful example of a guy that doesn't know anything about sleep, but the way he does it is sleep is important. After each training, I'm going to take my recovery of sleep. I'm going to go train again, and then I'm going to sleep. Again, they're very disciplined in regards of everything, and that includes his sleep. And you can see him as the best example in that. That's one of the few athletes that I can highlight in the MMA world that really cares about his sleep. And you can see that he's always at 100% physical. He does get injured during training, but still, when he performs, he's a beast.
It also allows you to put that much effort in training.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always, you see those guys from Dagestan, they're always going 100% hard training every time you train, every session you train. So every time we have camps here in Bahrain as well, where we have some of the best fighters, even from Dagestan, we always say the guys who come for camps, we always tell them that take it easy, get used to this training for 1 or 2 weeks, because that's going to be tough, hard session every time, every single day, every session in a day. So it's crazy. And, you know, thanks to you, thanks to Sehatu, we always say that in Bahrain we have one of the largest and the biggest mixed martial art camp in the world, or combat sports camps in the world. We have world champions, we have Olympic boxers, Olympic wrestlers, master of Sambos, world champion Sambo fighters, number 1 ranked amateur team in mixed martial art. We have athletes competing in Brave World Champions in KHK team. We have UFC fighters, PFL fighters, Bellator fighters, all of them coming together in one big camp. All the combat sports coming in one big camp. And we say that it's the biggest camp in the world today, not just because we have the top elite level athletes from different combat sports coming under one roof and sharing knowledge, but it's also because of the resources that His Highness Sheikh Khalid, like you mentioned, has provided as a platform for them. And we have those gaps, as many camps around the world, they always have these little gaps. And here in Bahrain, I feel like those little gaps are also being closed today. And one of the definitely, and the biggest one is thanks to you guys for bringing the sleep lab and this idea to Bahrain, and making sure that this is something that is worked with the athletes. I mean, even if there are people who understand sleep and sleep coaching, it's unique how you have focused and brought that closer to the athletes and gave us the opportunity to be part of that and supporting every single athlete from all different sports that we have under KHK. So it's been amazing. And I really wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for it. And hopefully we're going to see all of these guys sleeping really well, you know, sure.
This is one of the first programs for sleep for athletes ever done in the region. So in regards of people doing it here in the region, you can proudly say that Bahrain is the first country to focus predominantly on sleep.
And I'm sure that there's no camp in the world. I've been to multiple camps around the world. I know that there's no camp in the world that has an exclusive sleep lab, and the amount of doctors and experts like you have at Sehatu, they're fully focused on every athlete in the camp. I have not seen that before. Sam, I don't know, but I've not seen anywhere where you have a expert lab like yourself and clinic like yourself that's supporting a camp 100%. One thing that I want to touch before I don't take more of your time, I want to touch one topic, because that's, I don't know if it is a controversial topic or it's something that people don't understand so much, but it's about sleep and supplements, right? You know, there's how do I go to sleep, you know, there's different fun ways to go to sleep, you know, and that's why I think it might get a little bit controversial, because I don't know about supplementation and sleep. What is the right supplements to take? Is there supplements for sleep? Is it rather drink your water and go to sleep? You know, what is it?
So, in regards of supplements for sleep, there's a lot of supplements out there. There's GABA, L-theanine. We also have our own supplement line as well with you guys. It is basically Stress Plus, Sleep Plus, Concentrate Plus, Focus Plus. These are all natural substances, so they're not chemicals, and they help induce sleep. But again, what I would like to highlight this is because I've seen a lot of people go and take melatonin without a doctor's prescription, thinking that it's the way to go to sleep. Your body melatonin is a hormone. It is naturally produced in your body. The reason you take melatonin is based on a sleep specialist or a sleep coach advice. Doing it without a sleep coach advice or a sleep specialist or a doctor or whatever can cause side effects over positivity. So some people say, I take melatonin. You might become dependent on it, like a lot of people do. And they cannot sleep without melatonin. They need to increase their dose over a period of time until they become practically dependent on melatonin. So advice for sleep or going to sleep, I would say, naturally what you could do is reduce caffeine intake before sunset. Try to have a wake up and a sleep time fixed or as close as it as possible. Try to drink enough water that you don't wake up thirsty or you don't need to go to the bathroom. But if you're going to the bathroom more than once or you go on a regular basis, then you need to reduce your water intake before going to sleep. Don't take supplements without a doctor or a sleep coach advice. If you do, get the advice before that if it's required. Stay away from light sources that can fool your body into thinking it's daytime. And make sure that when you wake up, you feel rejuvenated. If you feel that you haven't had enough sleep, that's an indicator that there was something going wrong. One of the biggest things we see in sleep is people don't go through the stage 1 to 3. They go straight away to deep stage. So they go straight away to, in 5 minutes they're dreaming. Like they go to sleep, in 5 minutes they're dreaming. That indicates that their body's not recovering, that they're skipping a cycle in that phase. So you need to focus on that. Or if you see, I'm dreaming, I'm straight away dreaming in the next 5 minutes or this, a doctor or a sleep specialist can identify that you're lacking stage 1, 2, and 3. Or vice versa, some people don't have dreams. It also goes the other way where people don't have dreams. They skip, they don't go to the dream phase at all. Or they spend very minuscule amount of time in it. And that affects their brain, their reaction time. You'll find their strength reduce over time. All these can affect them over a long period of time. They'll lose muscle mass. Their BMI might increase. If they're trying to cut weight, that's a big factor as well. When you're not, like, you're dieting, you're training, you're cutting, but
so so your supplements help with sleep, those supplements that you have at Sehatu now?
They do help with sleep, but it's always recommended to go through a sleep coach or a doctor or a sleep specialist to prescribe you with this. And we just say, don't take the initiative of going and saying, I need melatonin and I'm just going to keep taking melatonin, because it just builds habit. Sleep shouldn't be dependent on a substance.
Correct.
This is what we say, even if it's prescription or whatever, recreational or whatever we might call it. Using substances to go to sleep will basically affect your sleeping habit. It will cause a negative effect on it in regards of you becoming dependent on a substance to go to sleep. And for example, melatonin. Let's say someone is having an obstructive breathing disorder. And when he's sleeping, he can't breathe, so he gasps for rest and he wakes up. He wakes up at night. So what did he do? He couldn't breathe, so he woke up because he needed to take in the air. He's choking during his breathing. Now, let's say we gave him melatonin, or he took melatonin without any doctor's recommendation. He's not using a CPAP. He's not using any treatment. He just took melatonin to get a better sleep. What's going to happen? He's going to start gasping for breath, but his body is still at a sleep stage. That makes him choke, which can even cause very severe fatalities as well, if you might consider it in that. That could be a scenario that could happen as well, just from melatonin.
Yeah, I think sleep is crazy, right? I think
Yeah.
one of the things that when I used to fight, I was always worried about, because we didn't have fights in Bahrain at that time. We're talking about 9-10 years back. So every fight we used to have was traveling. Mm-hmm. And you always was worried about jet lag. Would I be able to sleep? Would I be able to, like, regardless of what you do, I mean, you could say that, okay, I'm going to be traveling to Thailand, so I play the timing accordingly and go and compete there. But you're always worried once you reach there, you're messing with the timing. It doesn't go as expected, you know. Yes. So, but I know that what you have done for our athletes, you have also helped them to prepare for jet lags, and your doctors have done a phenomenal job with that. I know that we also, to all the fans and people who are watching Hawks Corner as well, I want to thank you. One more thing about, because you've supported us with having a future consistent shows on educating about sleep, and I know that you want to bring doctors and experts on board, but I really want to have an introduction of what you have been doing for us athletes in Bahrain, development of talents in Bahrain, and also wanted to make it more about for general public like myself who are not athletes anymore, but we do want to get into a healthy lifestyle. If you can tell us if the general public who's listening to this, or athletes as well, where do they go to get to meet with coaches, sleep coaches? Where is Sehatu? How can they get access to it? And if you could give a little bit of information on that.
First of all, for the athletes, you have KHK. You can reach us directly. Brave, Shahid. All thanks to His Highness Sheikh Khalid. We are here to provide all athletes in Bahrain and the region with support in regards of their sleep, or sleep coaches in regards of providing them with sleep coaches. For the general public, we have the lab in Rafah. We also help. There are many sleep labs. Labs are opening up on a daily basis now as well. Sleep is becoming more common, especially with recently Joe Biden caught using a CPAP device. So there's a big noise about it as well.
I'm not going to make a comment on that one.
Joe Biden uses a CPAP recently, and they saw some stretch marks on his face that indicated he was wearing it. So even old people or elderly would require, especially elderly, would require a CPAP device or a BiPAP device. We are here in Rafah, all over Bahrain Small. You can reach us anywhere, and we'll be gladly happy to provide
the facility in Rafah is called
Bahrain Sleep Lab. It's called Bahrain Sleep Lab. We have doctors, Dr. Fahad Al Ghareeb, an ENT specialist and a sleep doctor, very well renowned in the region, leading sleep doctor in the region. We have Dr. Amr Khan from Pakistan in California. He's a leading doctor as well over there in neurology and sleep medicine. We have also stress management coaches that provide athletes and individuals with stress management and relievement. So they're more likely to go to sleep easier, build some good habits about breathing. Again, breathing is very important. We can highlight that. And we know that a lot of athletes even do a breathing techniques. They do it for the fight, between the rounds, to recover, and this same techniques could be done for sleep as well.
Definitely.
The meditation process of it. I'm not saying go into yoga and spiritual enlightenment, but more of regulating your body, shutting down the idea of being able to shut down all the noise and focus on just your breathing and going to sleep is a mental training by itself. It teaches you to focus on something and not deviate from it. So there's many ways that we can help. We are here in Bahrain. We do virtual consultations as well, which is thanks to technology that is available now. We are able to do that. And our sleep doctors have been around for over 20 years, 25 years in the industry. We were the first sleep lab here in Bahrain and in the region. And now we're just seeing them open all over, which is good for us because we want to see people get treated for
shows
sleep.
that the education is also increasing. People are knowing more about it, definitely. I mean, that's one of the things for us as gym as well. We are the first MMA gym in the country. And it's just interesting to know that there's so much more gyms opening up for mixed martial art, because that shows that the people understand
You're doing something right.
Absolutely. Then. So yeah, definitely. At the Bahrain Sleep Lab in Rafah, you get the consultation, you have the diagnosis, and the supplements and the products are all. Is it a one-stop shop?
Everything is a one-stop shop. It's very easier. We can do even virtual, where we send the test to home. Like back in the days, it was very hard. You needed to go to lab. Now there are home-based tests, there are monitoring tests, there are supplements, like you said, they're all provided there. And again, our lab, what's the beauty of it, it's not a hospital, just to keep it clear. It's a room. It's a comfortable, it's like you're sitting in a hotel room. Again, when you go to sleep or patients go to sleep or athletes go to sleep, they don't want to feel like they're in a hospital being monitored by multiple devices.
True.
They want to feel like you want to help ease that sleep, especially when you're doing the test. You want it to look as natural as it is. Because if I put him in an uncontrolled or uncomfortable environment, he's not going to go to sleep. We're naturally like this. If we're not comfortable in the place we're going to sleep, we're not going to sleep. So the environment is there that helps facilitate sleep, sound, aromas. There's also a TV source, even though we don't recommend, but we know people have to watch something before they sleep. So we don't just tell them no, we monitor that habit as well to see how long it takes him to go to sleep as well. And then when he goes to sleep, how long he's staying in each cycle. And we measure around 58 channels of vital readings in the body. And it's a huge 2,000-page report that gets summarized. It takes the specialists, the sleep technicians, around 4 to 6 hours to decipher this whole data and generate the report that you see as a final product in the end.
No, amazing.
Yeah.
And for the people who's out there listening to this on YouTube, on Instagram, and social media platforms, how can they reach you online, your website, your social media pages?
Our social media pages are Sehatu Arabia. We have our website, sehatu.com. We have our contact details over there. We work with you guys so they can also reach out through you to us. They can reach us through Google search as well. We're available everywhere. We're not difficult to find. We're pretty much in the scene. And we're ready for any support that is required from us.
No, it's exciting. I'm just also going to ask all the people that listens to the clips or the video itself, have your questions, share your questions, because we're going to have multiple more talks, and we'd love to have the doctor on board as well to discuss, go on like a little bit of children, just ask all the questions as an athlete or as a person.
By all means, this could be the start of a lovely program that we could initiate with regards of sleep, nutrition, or recovery nutrition, and injuries as well.
Definitely.
And training, and how that all can correlate to the athletes. I'm happy to provide specialist doctors in the field that can talk on a medical based with their data, research, and surveys and experiences as well, dealing with patients. As I'm not a doctor, but we do have the knowledge that is over there.
But we were definitely going to have multiple more Sehatu Hawks Corner together to make more, give more information to the people. But one last question: how many hours do you sleep?
I sleep a good 8 hours.
Perfect.
Good 8 hours. But I'll be honest with you, I do enjoy my weekends. I do sleep in a little bit extra, because here's the thing. Sometimes, this is a last wonderful point for everyone. A lot of people, what they do is, during the week, they would minimize their sleep. They would sleep rather than 6-8 hours, they would sleep 4 hours, 3 hours minimum. And during the weekend, they say, all right, I'm going to take a full long sleep for 12 hours. And they think they make that up. What I do want to highlight is sleep is like a loan that you take from the bank. You can't pay it all in one payment. You have to do it over incremental days. So the idea is that I'm going to pay it off all in one day is not a reality. And it's not possible. So if you think that I'm sleep deprived during the week, and on the weekend, since I'm just going to sleep it all up and make up for the hours, no. You need to do it over 3, 4, 5 days.
I remember you telling me that when I told you, I think it was the second time we met, I've told you about the same thing, that I do sleep a lot on weekends to compensate. And you mentioned to me an analogy you used, that you can't eat a lot of food in one day and say that that's compensating for the rest of the day. You're still going to get hungry on the second day and third day again. You can't just do that.
It's a debt that needs to be paid, and it needs to be paid in increments.
Yeah.
We know that from fight week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The recovery after fight week is definitely incremental.
Exactly. You will feel it. You cannot fix it in one day or one session of sleep. You need to have multiple sessions, and then I do also do that. Even though I work in the field sometimes, I do sometimes enjoy my weekends, long sleeps, and it helps me a bit. But again, I also have room for improvement there.
Definitely. Fahad Ghareeb, thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Hala Madrid.
Hello Barcelona. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, mate.